This is a Headgum podcast.
It's a lot like the Coca-Cola recipe where they send you the syrup and you add the water at your restaurant. Did you know that?
Yeah, because otherwise it wouldn't be very practical. It's actually a smart thing to do.
It's the waterbed of beverages.
Yeah, right. You provide the seltzer, carbonation.
Right.
Yep. Which,
depending on the restaurant, is a different grade of seltzer.
Yeah, same thing with Guinness. You want a proper Guinness, you get the nitrous. You want a shit Guinness, you get the carbonation.
In the can you talking about, or in
the
the tap?
No, draft.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to go through nitrous.
Do you know Guinness is only made in 3 places in the world?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Where besides Dublin?
Dublin, I think somewhere in Scotland, and then in Canada. I'm not sure if it's Toronto
Canada.
Or somewhere, yeah.
Oh, shit, because it's very true what they say. I didn't believe it at first, but then there is such a difference between even the best pint here is not even close to getting a Guinness in Dublin. It's true. Yes. It's really, really good.
Yeah, it is. It's, and the women also, like I find that the Irish women, when you go there, are just so much more, I don't know, they're just more caring. They have more of a soul.
Than who?
Irish American women.
Yeah, those are Irish American women and men have been put through the American filter. So
yes.
They're not as concerned about other people.
Yes, and they're not as lyrical.
Yeah.
Like you find a good Irish woman in Galway, like she'll do lyrics at dinner. She'll do those old limericks.
This sounds made up, Greg.
No, my grandfather used to do limericks. We grew up in the Bronx, and I grew up there till I was about 8, but my mother grew up there, and my grandfather's from Ireland. And after dinner, he would sit around and he would do all these great old Irish limericks. And as he got older, he started to lose his memory, and then my mother and her sisters would help him finish these limericks. Mm-hmm. And like one of my biggest regrets in life is that I didn't really memorize them.
Right.
And that's just lost now.
There's probably a database of limericks, rather.
Yep.
Should you choose.
Yeah.
Before you too start losing your memory and your faculties and fade away.
It's fading.
Yeah. Is
it's
it
already
happening
fading.
Now? All right.
Yeah.
We are talking to Greg Fitzsimmons, and I have a press release I'm going to read. Okay. Because you've got a new stand-up special coming out, and it says here to go see David Cross's new tour, The End of the Beginning of the End. Go to officialdavidcross.com. All the dates will be there starting in September on the West Coast, and I'll be going all through America, Canada, and Europe. So go to officialdavidcross.com for information on The End of the Beginning of the End tour, David Cross.
Now, you were represented by Michael O'Brien as well. I think he sent you your press release. Maybe.
Well, yeah, but I'm just going in order of importance. So I'll get to you now. Greg Fitzsimmons to release a stand-up special. Greg Fitzsimmons, you know me. Is that the way to pronounce it?
You can either say that or you can go, you know me.
You know me. Tuesday, August 27th on his YouTube channel. It was recorded at the Comedy Mothership in Austin, Texas. He's an Emmy-winning comedian. Tuesday, August 27th. Huh? Holy shit, you recorded it in November of last year? Why did it take so long?
I hate looking at myself. I had such a hard time looking at myself, and the more I watched my jokes, the more I hated them. And
I get it, but you gotta fucking put that.
I know. Not only
you gotta power through, man.
But the week before, I was literally still editing the trailer, the clips, the artwork.
And it's all COVID. It's all jokes about COVID. And
I went out of my way to not do any of that. That is the worst. When you see a special coming out now where they're doing COVID jokes.
It's all right. Well, okay. it was nobody cares about this stuff. Nobody cares about that. After 35 years performing stand-up, Greg Fitzsimmons, you know me, finds Greg hilariously reflecting on 34 years of sobriety. I have no idea what that's like. Sex with a 57-year-old woman. Don't know what that is. Convincing your children that you're cool. Have not been able to do that. And combating loneliness on the road. I certainly have not ever. How do you combat loneliness on the road? Because I would like to know.
I try to reach out to people. Like little interactions can make a huge difference to me. Like if I'm going to a store or a coffee shop, I just try to ask people questions about themselves and I try to make them smile. And that really like keeps me going. But if I just sit in my room.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I should give that a shot. But I'm at oh gosh, I just don't like chit-chatty stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if you're like me, but when you go out on the road, and this has literally happened 100% of the time, I can look at the calendar. Has nothing to do with where I am in the country, which country I'm in. It does not matter. I can look at the calendar, and roughly about halfway through, I can circle 5, 6, 7 days. I go, I'm going to be so fucking depressed, and bummed out, and hopeless, and it. Let's see, where am I going to be? Glasgow. Well, maybe that's a right place for it. But, it's like I'm going to sit in my room and be really depressed. And I can it happens every single time, It
does, but you tour different than I do. I only go out like Thursday to Saturday, and then I come home on Sunday morning. I'm not at that point where I'm like
church.
playing theaters.
I keep forgetting about church. Yeah.
Night after, I had to be home for church.
You got to be mass. You could conduct mass, right?
I conduct mass, and and then I hear confessions, which is I'm not the guy in the booth hearing confessions, but I stand just outside
and write it down.
And I write it down, and then I sell it back to them later.
So it's like Scientology. Yes. There you go. You need to confess these things.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. And blackmail material. Thank you.
I can get you clear. I can make you clear. No, I'm home on Sunday, and so for me, hitting the wall is usually like after the Friday night late show. Then I kind of hit the wall. So it's mini.
Well, that's something I stopped doing, and it cost me money, but I don't do 2 shows a night anymore unless I'm taping a special. But I just that just kills me because I'm 60 and I drink while I'm alive and awake, and so by the time I get to and I'm doing like an hour and hour 15 minimum, but sometimes you're just having fun. You do a lot more time, and that second show, I'm just wiped out. I can't do it anymore.
Right.
I cannot do it I don't know how. Are you a Guided by Voices fan?
A what?
A Guided by Voices fan?
No. Is that a band?
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Yes.
Don't say it like that.
Oh, man. Come on. Who are you into musically? Styx? You like Styx?
No, I like, I'm starting to get into country music for the first time. Sure. I never was before, but Chris Stapleton and Jason Isbell, and there's a lot of great country people. But, Radiohead, Wilco, I go back and listen to Bob Dylan a lot still, Van Morrison. I like singer-songwriters.
Sure. Okay. Well, Guided by Voices, great, extremely prolific band. I've seen them a bunch, but their lead singer, musical genius is a guy named Robert Pollard.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but the guy drinks half a case. He's like Crimmins.
Uh-huh.
You remember how Crimmins would get up there? Do you ever see his State of the Union
of
shows?
Course.
He'd drink a fucking case of beer. He's up there with a cooler. Crimmins used to put it away. Right. And Pollard's like that. Just a case of beer and just going through and singing and very active. But the dude's, got to be close to my age at something like, and I'm like, I don't know how you do it.
But when you do a set, because if you're up there for an hour and 20 minutes, you're probably going through a few cocktails on stage, right? A few beers.
I have beer. I don't
Is there a rhythm to that? Like, do you sort of feel like by the end of the set, I want to be buzzed, but not too far gone?
No. I'm not a... I mean, I've kind of got it down intuitively of when I'm like, oh, I'm getting drunk. But the unfortunate irony is when you get to that place, you're like, let's have another one.
Yeah.
You don't stop, you know? And, but I don't get there. And in my rider, it is, I have a specific thing in my rider that the beer has to be 4.5 ABV or lower. And I will start with those. And then by the time I'm getting towards the end, I will switch to a higher alcohol content beer.
You should start with like non-alcoholic beers at the beginning.
You know what? I did one show where I had an Athletic, which I really like. That's the only good that I've had. The only good non-alcoholic beer.
What's it called?
Athletic.
Oh,
okay. Very good.
It's like an IPA, right?
Oh, they have a bunch. They have many styles. They have lagers, pilsners.
Yeah,
it depends. Yeah, but it's an exceptionally good one. And it just didn't feel right, and I felt. It was tripping me up because I was like, this isn't real beer.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And,
do you want to hear a joke I cut from my special?
Yeah.
I said, I've been drinking the non-alcoholic beers now, the NAs, and I thought of a commercial for them. Hey, want to have a blast tonight? Nah. So stupid, so I cut it out.
That is stupid, but it's cute. It
was an opener, and then I went out, and when I did the special, I don't know, I kind of went out, and I was stiff at the beginning. I think I was nervous, and so like, so I showed it to Dave Attell, and he's like, "Dude, cut the first 3 minutes." He goes, "They're good jokes, but you're flat. You're not there." Yeah. And then after they started laughing, I kind of warmed up. So the special, I come out and I say hello, and then I grab my drink and I come back, and it's 3 minutes in.
Good. That's smart.
Yeah. I mean, nobody...
If Tell, take his advice.
Yeah.
For sure.
But I don't think anybody cares if your special's a whole hour anyway. I mean, if you're doing an hour 20, it's probably easy to cut it down to a good hour. But I was doing an hour 5, so I ended up at like 51 minutes.
Well, I'm self-indulgent. I don't, know... It's not like this is going to be on at 8 on ABC at 8 o'clock, and they have to put commercials in and have another show. So wherever it ends up, they're like, I don't care. 58 minutes, an hour and 3, we don't give a shit. And so I have a, I did way too much time in the last special, just because the way I work, I'm always expanding and things are evolving. I'm fucking around on stage, having fun, and sometimes I'll just riff something and that becomes a whole bit, and so I had too much time in the last one, Worst Daddy in the World, and I cut, and I do this thing where I go, I knew I was going to cut it. This chunk all about abortion and all this stuff, and I do a thing in the bit where I
weird
go...
because you aborted the bit.
Interesting.
It's ironic.
Yeah. I don't know if it's irony, but I'm talking to my daughter on stage in the bit. I'm on my knees going, "Hey, kiddo, da-da-da-da," do the punchline, and I go, you know what? This would be a great place for an edit. And then it cuts to the end of another joke. And so I took that whole thing, and then in this new special, which I'm going to tape it in Missoula, Montana.
Really?
Yeah. I wanted to go red state. I want to go to a red state, and I want to go, and I love Missoula. Have you been to Missoula?
Yeah, I did a show with Janine Garofalo there once.
Fucking great.
Amazing. The airport, you can't believe you're landing. It's just...
I don't remember the airport.
It's just out of nowhere. It's just you come down and you go...
Missoula's out of nowhere.
It's like a driveway. You land in a driveway.
There's nothing... There's mountains, and I fucking loved it. I did Bozeman and Missoula, and I liked them both, but Missoula would just it reminded me a little bit of Asheville, North Carolina. Just that cool... pocket of young cool people and bookstores and for such a small. And also the best thing about Missoula, not the best thing, but one thing I really liked about it is for a small place, they have a bunch of dive bars that they're like perfect dive bars. They're not creepy, not like those West Coast dive bars where it's like, oh, there's just sad alcoholic Indians in here. It's like a good, they're the right kind of dive bar. Yeah. And Missoula's got, they all have character and they're not fancy, it's just good. I really dug it. I liked, I bought a hat. I was so
a cowboy hat?
No, a woolly, I just wanted to get something to show my respect in Missoula. So anyway, I'm going to shoot the special in Missoula, and I plan on putting the stuff that I cut, I'm going to do this with every special now, I'm going to insert it into the middle.
The old version, not redoing it.
Not redoing it.
Yeah.
And find a way to introduce it into the thing.
That's fantastic.
Then I'm going to cut something else out, and I will put that into the special after that. So it'll be this weird, it'll be interesting.
I like that. That's a cool idea. I think everybody should take stuff from their first, whatever your oldest clip is of you doing stand-up comedy, you should put that into the middle of your special.
It's, what was the first thing I did? I want to say it was like either Comedy on the Road.
That was my first credit. Comedy
John
on the Road.
Biner.
Which city did you do? Because it was
San Diego. Oh, I did two.
Wow.
I did San Diego. It has to be my first thing because I did a joke that I was doing in Boston. That's how old it was. It was to give you an idea of how I'm going to say this is 30 plus, 35, 40 years old. The joke was about Sandy Duncan. How's that for a reference?
With the fake eye.
With the fake eye.
Yeah.
That she should, it would have been cool. I can't remember how I said it, but if she, instead of I talked about how you're not fooling anybody. We know that it's a glass eye. We can tell. And that's fine, but why not get creative with it?
I remember this
bit. Put a
Yep.
magic 8-ball in, and then you could shake her
Yes!
head. Get Sandy Duncan's head. Sandy, should I call in sick to work tomorrow? Shake her head. So that's how old.
I remember that bit.
Yeah, it's like a Boston. That was like
And it was John Biner and Dave Becky, I think, was booking it.
Yeah, maybe
because he booked me on it, and I was so excited. I was, I was cold sending.
This is
VHS
your first.
tapes.
Is this your first? Yeah,
I was cold sending VHS tapes. Remember, there used to be that magazine that was called Comedy USA, and it listed every comedian in the business and every agent in the business and every booker, and so it was this Bible to us. It was like we're in Boston, and here's this like tunnel into the middle of show business. So I would just send out these VHS tapes. So I get a call from Dave Becky, and I'm like, Hollywood is calling me, and he books me, and he's like, we're going to send you to, what's the place in Mexico where they dive off the cliffs?
Oh, Acapulco?
Acapulco. It's like, we're going to send you to Acapulco. I'm like, this is unbelievable.
Wow.
So then I call him to confirm like a month out, and he goes, who is this? And I was like, it's Greg Fitzsimmons. He booked me on the show. He's like, I don't have any record of that. And I go,
what?
I go, so I'm not doing it? And he goes, let me call you back. And he calls me back, and he goes, I got you back on. You're in West Orange, New Jersey.
Oh.
Which, hey, I didn't give a shit. But it was me and Jim Brewer. It was his first special also. And that was a big deal. That first TV spot.
I remember that, and then years later, not too many, but maybe 3 years later, I did Comedy on the Road again because it was in London, and I'd never been to London before, and I'd never been abroad, and I really wanted to go, and so I knew the taping wouldn't be very good, and I went and did it, and it wasn't good. It did the Comedy Store in Leicester Square. Or wherever
I hear
it's
not
good.
Yeah,
but it's also like a 4 in the afternoon show,
and you don't know if your sensibility is going to work over there.
No idea. I've never been there before,
right.
and I I did a thing that I thought was very funny though, and I'm proud of it. But so I'm bombing, right? And I know they're going to sweeten it; they always do. But I'm just not. It's not like people hated me; they're just not into it. And I had a map of London, one of those like really dense folded maps of like central London. And I did this joke. I can't remember what the joke was. It was kind of a longer thing. And then I got no response. And I pulled the map out and I started tracing like, okay, leave the hotel, go down Shaftesbury Lane, take a right at Charing Cross, go there. And I did this whole fucking minute-long thing of like, and then take a left, then pass by, then I go, no, that joke should have worked. And put the map back in my pocket. So I'm glad I did that. But
did they leave it in when they aired it?
I have no idea. I don't think I've seen it. But there was a guy, and we're going to figure out his name. He was a popular comic back in the 90s. I will figure out who it was.
Boston guy?
No, he was out of LA. I don't know where he came from originally. And he was, I mean, it wasn't like Dom Herrera, but that kind of level. He was older and he was established, and but like in that world, you know? And I'll think of his name, but we were backstage, and I was talking to him at the taping, and I'm like, man, this is so exciting. Never been to London before. He's never been to London either. Yeah, I'm going to stay an extra 3-4 days and walk around. He's like, oh, I'm out of here as soon as this thing's done. Really? Yeah, fuck. I don't like leaving LA. I'm like, you don't even want to, like, it's like one of the most dynamic cities in history, right? And he's like, no, just go back to the airport and go back to LA. Where do you live? Burbank, you know. I'm like, wow, what the fuck?
Yeah, I know. When I went to West Orange, I blocked out. I got an Airbnb, and I blocked out, and I had the map of West Orange, and I think
there weren't Airbnbs back then, were there?
No, I'm just pretending. I'm just West Orange is worth hanging around. That was definitely an in and out in one night.
Yeah, well, also you can get back easily to New York. Yeah, this guy, I got to remember, he was like blonde hair, kind of taller, really kind of pedestrian jokes. Fuck.
Mark?
No, it was Mark. I know it if you said it, but it was just, because I've told this story before, not in years and years and years, but I remember it was so, I mean, it stuck with me, that like, I felt bad for the guy. You want to go back to Burbank. You're not even going to spend an extra.
Amazing.
You know.
Although when I go on the road in general, when I was young and I would go on the road.
Greg Fitzsimmons. His name was Greg Fitzsimmons.
Tall and blonde, huh?
Yeah.
Boy, that guy's changed. Ever since he removed those 4 vertebrae, he's really
shorter,
not had the same. Yeah. But like when I go on the road, when I was young, I would go, if I was in Louisville, I would go to the baseball manufacturing plant and take a tour. You know, if I was in Milwaukee, I'd go to the beer. Like, I was into it. And now,
I'm sorry, you'd go to the beer?
I'd go to the beer. Yeah.
If you were in Milwaukee.
I'd go to the brewery.
Go to the beer.
And now I'm pretty much just like, if I have friends in a town, I go out. If I don't know anybody in the town, it's got to be someplace really special, or I'm not leaving the hotel.
Part of the issue for me is I'm of the kind of celebrity who gets, people feel no compunction about just going, hey, how do I know you? Well, you're famous, right? And I'm one of those guys. Like, no. What do I know you from? And like wherever I go, and so that, if I'm hanging out with fans, that's great. I have great fans. They're smart. They're funny. But you know, you go to a bar and then there's people like, hey, the guy from Scary Movie 2's here. Get down here. You know, like, so I'm that guy.
Yeah,
so
you're
that
there
makes
to serve them.
Yeah, it makes it not quite as enjoyable an experience.
Right.
And when I was not famous, I mean, that was fucking, you just go out and it was just people who were into stand-up and knew your shit.
Yeah.
Or Mr. Show, which nobody else knew. It was great.
Right.
But now it's like, hey, you're the just shoot me guy.
Yeah.
Sure. You stole the chipmunks.
Yeah. Yeah, I've hung out with Posehn. He's in that same category.
He is literally the best person, although now Bob has replaced him, Odenkirk, with if I don't want anybody talking to me, I just walk along with Posehn, and people always go to Posehn.
Yeah. He's a magnet.
He's a magnet, and I disappear. And it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Well, first of all, he's 6'5", and he's got an enormous beard, so he's
very specific looking. It's Brian Posehn. You might not know his name, but you're like, oh, it's that. There's no question. Like, were you the guy?
Yeah. Although the guy that I got recognized more, not so much recognized, but that thing that you're talking about where they feel entitled to come up and just get in your space, was Ron Jeremy. I walked through an airport with him in Las Vegas once. And every douchebag guy you could imagine was running up. It was like a crowd walking through the airport. It was like nothing I'd ever seen before. And I'm like, this is the most disgusting human being in the world. And everybody wants their photo with him. Yeah.
I remember I was in Vegas with, do you know Mark Rivers?
Why does that sound familiar? Oh, he's a musician, right?
Yeah.
He does a lot of TV shows.
Yeah, now he does. Yeah. He's done tons of stuff. He was one of my best friends growing up. But we were in Vegas, and he was like, dude, you either need to get more famous or less famous, because this does not work out well. And it's like, I know, man.
Well, is that something that you've was there any calculation to how famous you've wanted to be? Like, have you turned things down that you felt like, well, this is going to make me famous for something I don't necessarily want to be famous for? Or did you always...
No, not really. I mean, I've done a couple things that I'm like, this isn't my thing. And I mean, the Chipmunk movies, Scary Movie 2, it's not necessarily my thing, but I specifically with the Chipmunks, I had not worked nothing in half a year, which is like fucks with your head, and you don't know that there's going to be a golden tomorrow. You don't. You just think once you get into the 3-month period and that becomes 4 or 5, you're like, I just want to work. Mm-hmm. I can't. I mean, it's not even about money at that point. It's like, does everybody hate me? Yeah. Am I never going to work again? So, there are different reasons. And then Scary Movie 2 paid me a lot of money. So, I mean, certainly for back then, I'd done Mr. Show, and we got $10 and an apricot.
Right.
And I sold the apricot for $12. So,
oh shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a good apricot.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm gonna make some money, and then I'll, go to New York, and I bought a place. You know.
But when I was coming up, you gave me advice. We were at, I was on stage at Largo, remember, down on Ludlow Street. Mm-hmm. Was that Luna Lounge?
That was
Luna Lounge, right. So I'm on stage and I'm talking
Rest
about...
in peace.
Yeah, that was a great room.
Such a great room.
Oh my God. So I'm on stage and I'm talking about how I'm about to move out to Los Angeles. And I had gotten an offer. My agent called me up and he goes, I got an offer for you for a TV commercial. And I said, great, what is it? He said, it's for Rogaine. And at the time, I was like, yeah, but my hair's not falling
Joe
out.
Rogaine?
For Joe Rogan, yeah.
So he had his podcast at that point?
Yes, and I was auditioning to be him, which is weird because he's
very
him.
Weird.
Yeah, and you know me.
Yeah, well, that's the name of your special. I know.
Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
So I go, but I'm not losing my hair. And he goes, yeah, okay. So it's 3 spots and they're going to pay you. I forget what it was, but it was enough money to get health insurance and like help me move to LA.
Sure.
So, and I was talking about on stage, like, I don't know if I want to be the guy who's doing Rogaine. I'm going out there to maybe try to get acting work and I don't want to be. And you grabbed me when I got off stage and you go, you take that fucking ad. He goes, you don't say no to shit like that. Who cares if Mark Maron is judging you because you're not an artist or something like that? Because I think Mark was out there and I was like, Mark is going to say shit if I do this. And
that's still my stock line to everybody. Who cares if Mark Maron's going to judge you? I say that to my daughter.
Yeah, the Maron barometer, you call it. Yeah. And so I was like, all right, and I did it, and I was like, because my agent's like, don't worry about it. They said it's going to run on like ESPN 9 at 3 a.m. for like Korean women's badminton or whatever. So just do it, make them great. So I do it. I move out to LA. And it runs during March Madness, like constantly. And my tagline was, it said 4 out of 5 doctor. And my tagline is, I look at the camera and I go, 4 out of 5. I like my chances. And now I'm walking down the street and guys are like yelling out of the cars, I like my chances. I was the guy.
Was that a good feeling or bad or in between?
It was in between.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was nice to get recognized, but it was kind of like everything I was afraid of. But you realize it's not hurt. None of that hurts your career.
Yeah. I mean,
career. I don't even like to use that word.
Your life's journey.
It's my life's journey.
Your life's journey.
It really has always felt like just like a knife fight in the alley. I just reacting and trying to figure out where the next thing is and.
I know, man. It's I had something that I shot a long time ago just come out, the Umbrella Academy, and that was really fun, and I was thrilled to be a part of it. But that was the last time I worked. That was a long time ago.
Really?
Well, that's not exactly true because I literally drove in this morning from Catskills Mountains, where I've been doing a couple days on this indie film. I did something yesterday that was really fun, but I drove back so I could do this podcast.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
I got up early. I'm very tired.
Yeah.
I haven't eaten. That's not true. I had some wasabi soy powdered almonds. I did in the car on the way down. But, fucking 4 hours. And it was beautiful until I pretty much hit New York City.
Yeah.
But it was fun, man. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
Just improvising and riffing, and they're these 2 younger, upcoming hot actor kids that I worked with, and it was fun. It was really fun. I got. I'll go back in September at some point and shoot some more. But yeah, man, I haven't worked, and you just sit around like I don't know when. That's why I'm on tour again.
Yeah.
I love doing it. I enjoy it, but because there's nothing, coming up, I don't have anything in the foreseeable future. I'm like, shit, let's get another hour going. Hop back out there.
The podcast, man. The podcast is great. I watched a few of the episodes and, it's really, really good.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. I really do enjoy it.
I mean, it's hard to launch a new podcast right now because there's so many out there, but,
but who cares what Mark Maron thinks of you? Honestly.
Yeah. What the fuck? WTF.
Now, because people might not have heard this, I would imagine most people who are listening to this or watching this might not have heard this, but would you tell the story about the Bill Downs and the watch?
Oh, yeah.
Because I have told that to people, like, that is the best, such a smart fuck you. And to set this up, just to give you some context, back in the comedy boom in Boston, when there were, like, that's the only way I got good. And is because I didn't do well normally, and I was kind of, provocative and I was a comedian's comic or whatever you call it, comics comic and button pushing. And But they had, every fucking place, every Chinese restaurant, every bowling alley, every disco, every place had a comedy night.
Yeah.
So they had to put bodies up there.
Well, it was literally like they realized, the bunch of these bookers realized that every Chinese restaurant had like a banquet room that they were only using like 2 nights of the week. And so they'd grab it on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
And here was the marketing. They'd hammer up a sign that said Comedy Tuesday Night, and it would literally just fill up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there was
such a boom.
I played some of the most ridiculous rooms that shouldn't have comedy. There was a place in, I want to say Quincy or somewhere down there.
Yeah.
It was like a Bennigan's or something. And they had a, those screens that come down like, so it was like, and they had one of those old projector things, and they were playing fucking Three Stooges. I'm not joking. And it's like a bar restaurant, like a bigger area back of the place. And people are watching black and white Three Stooges things, and they're like, they just cut it off in the middle. They're like, all right, here's stand-up. We got some stand-up for you. This guy's from Boston, and the screen's like, goes up, and it was like, whoa! Like, all right, whatever. So there were these two guys, Paul Barkley and Bill Downs, who were pretty, it was understood they were disreputable thieves.
Bill wouldn't pay people, so they called him No Money Downs.
Yeah. And they would always, plead poverty, and they're fucking, and there's blow everywhere, right? And you're getting, it's all under the table. And they were just, I remember the guy, I'm like, I can't pay fucking rent, and I have 4 roommates, and I don't eat. And I just
drove to Maine with no hotel room on a Tuesday.
And I need the $45.
Yeah.
I have to have the 40.
Yeah.
And they were like, sorry, man, you're going to have to, give me a little bit of time, whatever. So here, hit it.
All right. So you'd have to give me a little bit of time. And then it started to be where it got so bad that Billy would offer you pennies on the dollar. He would be like, I'll buy off what I owe you.
Fuck those
for
fuckers.
70 cents on a dollar. And it was like it was like Potter from It's a Wonderful Life.
These fucking assholes.
So, and meanwhile, he was driving a Mercedes.
Oh, yeah.
He was adopting Chinese kids.
That's a real sign of money.
Yeah. And so he books me at this gig up in New Hampshire, and I show up, and it's like you say, it was like a Bill Rick in 99, like a sports club. And they've got on the Bruins game behind you, and they won't turn it off. So it's over your shoulder, and they're pissed off that the sound is down. And so I'm doing the show, and before I walk on stage, I said to Billy, Billy, at the time he owed me $1,200, which was
$1,200,
like a dozen gigs, if not more.
Yeah, no, I think the most I ever, it was like 300 is probably what he still owes me.
Yeah, I worked for him a lot.
1,200,
and
holy shit!
So I go.
Fuck that guy.
I'm about to go on stage, and I go, Billy, I said, I don't want to go long, and I forgot my watch. I go, can I borrow your watch? Oh, yeah, pal. Everybody's pal. Okay, pal. So he gives me his watch. And
nice watch.
It was a gold watch.
Yeah.
And so I finish my set, and then I just duck out the side door, and I drive back to Boston, and I get a call the next morning, and it's Billy, and he goes, hey, pal, you forgot to give me my watch back last night. I go, no, Billy, I didn't forget. I go, you forgot to pay me $1,200.
Oh, I love it.
And he just starts laughing. He goes, all right, pal, you got me. He goes, I'll write you a check. I go, oh, no, there's no checks. Because the checks were so bad that they'd write all the checks over the weekend. You'd get them at the gig, and then everybody would go to he lived up in like Lowell.
Yeah.
And if you went to Bank of America in Lowell on Monday morning, before the doors opened, there was a line of comedians because the first guys in would get the check cashed.
Yeah.
And so I said, no check. So I said, meet me at Dunkin' Donuts in Kenmore Square with cash. And he shows up, and he's got a bag with the brown bag. It was like an old film noir.
Yeah.
And he hands it to me, and then he just goes, you got me, pal. And I go, yeah, I got you. And he goes, by the way, you free Friday night? I was like, why? He goes, I got the Laughing Lobster up in Wells, Maine. You want to do it? I go, I'm fucking dying to do that. Yeah, I'll be there. Back in business.
Did you get the money for that gig?
I don't remember. That one, I remember the Laughing Lobster was so much fun that you didn't care if you got paid. There was a condo.
It's the only lobster in recorded history that laughed and had a sense of humor.
That's right.
And really enjoyed your stuff.
Yeah, and you would get claw breaks.
Yeah.
You'd get claw breaks.
You get a clause.
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible.
Wow.
Why didn't my phone go off then?
Wow, you really tailed off on that bit. So, what?
Oh. Don't make me draw butter. What? Okay.
So I went up to that gig with, you remember Kevin Knox?
Sure. Noxie.
So Noxie and me and Tom Cotter drive up to the Laughing Lobster in Wells, Maine.
Wow, what a shit lineup.
It's not at the time, and we walk into the condo and it's beautiful, and there's a pool, and it's like all these like French Canadian women that are down at the pool, and we see them on the way, and we're like, oh, we're all going to the pool. And so I was like, shit, I forgot to bring a bathing suit. And so Noxie goes, just, you got boxer shorts? I go, yeah. He goes, just fucking wear boxer shorts. So they go down to the pool, and I'm standing in the condo going, like, I'm fucking wear boxer shorts. I don't know. And I'm looking at the women. I was like, all right, I'm going down there. So I put on the boxer shorts. And I walk into the pool. I open the gate, and they're sitting on the other side of the pool. And I walk in, I close the gate, and then Noxie stands up and he goes, Greg, why are you wearing your underwear? The whole pool starts laughing at me, and I just turned around and went back.
Oh, just hop in. Because I forgot my suit. Who cares what Mark Maron thinks of you? Who gives a shit?
I mean, you know me.
Oh, the name of your special?
Yeah. Should I do that in all the interviews I do for press?
You should go back and record. Go back to where'd you do it? The Moon Tower?
No, at the Mothership.
Mothership in Austin. Go back, shoot like 2 sizes.
Yeah.
AI generate some audience, and then just shoot for. Just keep it open and do like 100 different me, and then you can insert those into.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's like punch into a close up of me.
Right.
And then start selling merch.
Yep.
Do a little like stress button for the me.
Wow.
T-shirts, koozies, lights.
I couldn't think of a
little
title.
lighter things.
I had a list of titles, and I just it's like the 11th hour, and I hadn't picked one, and I was just like, maybe I'm the guy. Like, it's kind of like going back to your thing of like, where do I know you from?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, maybe I'll do the me, because I've done so many things, and yet nobody knows me.
Well, it's a good title. It's not a bad title.
Yeah.
If you talk about that, or if that's ever mentioned,
a little bit. Yeah.
So it's a good title.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. I would have gone with I Like My Chances.
I know. That was on the list. That actually was on the list.
Really?
And if you go on YouTube and you Google Rogaine and Greg Fitzsimmons, you can pull up the clip.
All right.
Yeah.
Emma, do it.
You don't have the screen.
I don't have the screen though.
No. But Sense is working overtime.
Yeah.
Who is XTC? Is that who that was?
Yeah, they had a song called Sense is Working Overtime. I was hoping to be able to use it, but it was like $50,000. Like, fuck that. I'm not even going to make that.
I have a podcast called Sunday Papers, and originally we had the Joe Jackson version, and we got flagged.
Yeah.
So we had to take it down.
Yeah. Well, I had Mark Rivers do the music for this.
Oh,
it's
nice.
Great. And he said he was inspired. He went with kind of an Elephant Six approach. Oh, you're not going to know this.
I know Elephant Six.
You know Elephant Six,
no.
And right. So it was a collective, a label, a group of folks, and all brilliant, parts of amazing bands. And there's a documentary that just fairly recently came out about them, and he had seen it and he was inspired, so he did like an Elephant Six approach. If you listen to the theme song, which is really good, I think it only plays for a matter of seconds on this thing, but if you listen to the whole thing, it's really well done. He knocked it out. It's got an Elephant Six vibe.
What's your guilty pleasure band, like a popular band that you really enjoy? That
I mean, I don't care what Mark Maron thinks of me. So I don't have a guilty pleasure. It's I either like them or I'll say, yeah, I like them. Who gives a shit?
Right.
You know, I don't have that thing like, I guess I secretly like.
No, but like a band that you wouldn't like roll your eyes at me for not having heard of, but like that sensibility, a band that's outside of that sensibility.
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Is there a band that wouldn't fit with your sort of like, you have a very indie
No, because I like a lot of, I love the Dixie Chicks. Like, I love them. I got a ton of their stuff. I put them on the house mix when I go out. I love, the
Go-Go's?
Love the Go-Go's.
Love the Go-Go's.
Yeah. I mean, well, maybe not love, but I like the Go-Go's.
There's moments where if it comes on in the car and it's a nice day, it feels like it doesn't get any better than this right now.
I just don't have I'm not embarrassed. I can stand by, I don't care what Mark Maron thinks of me for liking the, Supertramp or whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
So I don't have a guilty pleasure. I just have the pleasures.
Right.
Now, you are one of the more well-read people I know of, and we've always exchanged books and book recommendations. What are you reading now? What do you?
I just finished. There's an Irish author named Rob Doyle, and he's got a new book out. I'm forgetting the name of it, but he's only got 2 novels, so you can find it. It's one word, and it's
Meat.
It's called Meat.
Apple.
Yeah.
Pleasant.
Yes.
Trajectory.
And are you going through what's on your refrigerator? Magnets?
Yes.
Yeah.
Magnets.
Refrigerator. Buy lettuce.
No, what?
So it's kind of like it's a road story. It's kind of his on the road, and it's about him as he's from Dublin, and he travels to India and Berlin and Palma in Italy, and he's kind of an explorer. He's a searcher, and he's doing different drugs along the way. And
this is nonfiction or fiction?
It's
or the character?
Nonfiction, okay. But it's obviously based on a lot of. He's a big traveler. It's based on play. I mean, it's obviously like he's immersed himself in these different places for long periods of time. It's really immersive, and it's great. And just God, you get so intimidated by the language with Irish authors sometimes. I mean, you really and I try to go out of my way to look up words when when I don't know them. Yeah. And I mean, it's a lot of stopping down and looking up words, but it's so beautiful. Just the phrasing is just so beautiful, and it's a great adventure. And there's really no story. I mean, it's like on the road. It's just a bunch of snippets of a cool journey.
All right.
Yeah. Well, what are you reading?
Right now, I'm reading Moby Dick, which I never read, which I'm enjoying. I didn't know it was so funny. Yeah. I had no fucking idea.
All right.
I thought it was. I just wasn't. It's. There's laugh out loud stuff in there. I had no idea. I don't know, and I've thought about it, and the only thing I can come up with is maybe it's because I'm older or I'm feeling older, but I've been on a kick of every other book I reread a book that I liked.
Right.
And there's really only one book that I pretty much every 10 years I'll read it again. There's 2 books actually.
The Bible.
The Bible.
The Bible and the New Bible.
Yeah. Masters of Atlantis and this book called Economics, explaining how economics works globally for people like me who aren't very bright about that.
No, economics is fascinating. It was one of my favorite classes in college.
This one is called Economics with an X, and it's illustrated, like graphic novel. It's really well done, and I try to read that every few years just to retain more information because a lot of it goes away. But I reread Hunger, which is a great fucking book, Newt Hampson.
Yeah.
Great book. Reread Third Policeman by Flannery O'Brien, Irish author. And I reread Independent People, which is they're all great books.
Wow.
And here's the thing. I did not, all three of those books, I did not remember 80% of it. I remembered kind of how it ends, but I really enjoyed all three of those books, rereading them because I had forgotten, and I knew I remembered the story basically, but just 80% of it I was like new, fresh to me, and it was really cool.
Yeah, I just reread my kids just went through high school, so we've got one of the bookshelves in the back has just all the books they read in high school, and it's like you just look at it like, oh my God, the memories that come up from The Sun Also Rises or The Great Gatsby. So I've started to reread some of those, and I just read As I Lay Dying, Faulkner.
Yeah,
and it's so interesting because I remember it was the first book I ever read where each chapter was told by a different character in the book. It's all first person, but from different characters. So you're seeing the mother dies, and her dying wish was that she be buried back it's in Missouri, and I can't remember which town is in Missouri, but that was the big town. And so everybody has a different agenda about why they want to go to the big town.
St. Louis?
No.
Kansas City?
No. Smaller.
Hannibal.
No.
Billerica?
No. She wants to go to the sports bar. She wants to see the Bruins game.
Fitchburg? Leominster?
Alston.
God.
And so the dad wants to go because there's a woman there that he likes, and another guy there, he wants to get his teeth fixed. And the one thing I didn't remember when I read it in high school, I didn't process or understand that the daughter was pregnant. You kind of know that, but she's trying to get an abortion.
Oh.
And back then an abortion was, they gave you something to drink that would make the baby go away.
They still, you can do that. I dated a girl for many, many years. You might have met her actually in Boston. And she had a couple hippie older sisters, and she got pregnant, and then her sister made her what was called abortion tea. And and it was a bunch of herbs and mixtures, and and baby go bye-bye. So
tea time.
Yeah. Greg, thank you so much for coming down.
Oh, well, this flew. This was fun. And thank you for over the years you've done my podcast so many times.
Well, it's always enjoyable.
Yeah, it's a good hang.
You're a good guy.
Thank you.
You're one of the good ones.
Thank you.
And I always end every episode with a question from my daughter. These are a real question. She's 7. So my daughter would like to know.
Do you ask her specific to a person, or just say, what are some questions?
It started with me asking her to come up with some questions, and then pretty quickly she'd go, Dad, I have a question for your podcast. All right, great. And so this one, or she'll say something, ask a question, they'll go, that's a good question for your podcast. Yes, it is. So this one, Greg Fitzsimmons, where does food go if you don't have a stomach?
Well, if you don't have a stomach, I would imagine you would just chew food and it would just come out your ass, and it would look like
straight through.
Well, there's certain foods that already kind of do that. Like, if you drink Guinness, it just comes out black, which is fun. And asparagus comes out smelling like asparagus. So there's certain foods that do not go through your stomach. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, there's the large intestine, and there's the small intestine, and then there's the anus intestine. And some of the food just bypasses.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, asparagus and Guinness. Those are the only two things. And everything else goes through the intestines.
Now, wait a minute. I am on the asparagus Guinness diet and have been for several years.
Oh, okay.
All I eat is asparagus, and all I drink is Guinness.
Right.
This I'm, going off the diet a little bit, but
yeah.
So I didn't know that. So
that's why you're losing weight.
I'm not losing weight. I wish I was. You see this?
I think your tube is connecting to your stomach.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
All right.
Look at that.
Oh, dude.
I got this too.
So
we're skinny with the belly. That's just such an old guy look.
I mean, I was talking about this. I was doing, it was on the last tour. And I was like, look at this thing. It's fucking, I've got that like, old, the guy who works, and the construction guy, whatever. And the guy's like, oh, yeah, that's visceral fat. That won't go away. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, that's, I had never heard the term. He's like, oh yeah, that stuff's not going anywhere. It's like solid. It's compact. It's years of that. I was like, oh shit, I didn't know that.
And it doesn't feel soft. Like mine is actually pretty firm.
Fucking hard.
I do core stuff all the time.
Yeah, well, I don't. But, I mean, I walk a lot. I did lose weight. I went to Machu Picchu. I hiked the Inca Trail with Bob and kind of trained for that and lost a little bit of weight. And during that, the 4-day hike, and you don't drink and you're fucking, climbing mountains. And I definitely lost weight. And I was like, oh, I'm going to keep this off now. And then I went to the bar and that was that.
Yeah, but isn't it great to be at the age and be happily married where there's really no stakes to losing the weight? When you're young and single, you really feel like, all right, I got to present.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Well.
No, I'm not the happily part. I'm not, well, relative, I suppose. But, subjective.
Yeah.
I'm sure she could be happier.
Right.
If I lost some weight.
Sure. That's what it is.
There you go.
It's the visceral fat.
Greg, thank you so much for coming down.
Thank you, David.
All right, man.
All right.
And good luck on the Greg Fitzsimmons, You Know Me, on his YouTube channel. 4-time Emmy winner.
And tour dates coming up at fitzdog.com.
Wait, you're going back out on the road?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got to get the new hour going. Denver, Alaska.
Wait, you go out to work on your material?
No, well, I've been working on it since November when I did the special, and now I've got pretty much a new hour. I've got like 40 minutes of a new hour that I'm out with now.
You charge people money to see you do 40 minutes?
A lot. I charge them extra.
A gold watch's worth of money.
And then I sell the koozies. I make them buy the koozies at the end.
God, I love that Bill Downs story.
Yeah.
So good. So it's really clever, too. It's such a good fuck you.
Well, the best is it's really part of the folklore in Boston. Now, all the young comics in Boston, I'll come to town and they'll be like, you're the guy, you're the gold watch guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, I wish I had either thought of it or the balls to pull that off. Because I felt so fucking impotent. I mean, I'm standing, I drove out to the fucking office to get my money. And he's like, yo, kiddo, you gotta help us out on this, and things are tough, and things are really tough. Oh God.
I remember Kenny Rogers heard the story, and he's like, I'm taking one of those Chinese kids.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
That was a Headgum podcast.